So I know what you're asking. What do I do when I get to the gym before working out? Do I jump straight into a workout? The answer would be kind of. I work out by warming up. So if I'm about to hit legs, I'm not just gonna run to the squat rack and start throwing some weight around. And don't get me wrong, in my bro lifting days, for maximum efficiency, I would just get into the gym, get lifting, boom. Job done. Efficient. More research was done. And I tried a method for a while of stretching before working out. But in the UK, normal weather, doesn't matter what time of the year it is, it tends to be cold and wet and rainy and cold. So walking into the gym, and the first thing I do is laying hamstring stretches. It felt as if it's only a matter of time before something is snapping up. And I'm not saying that's wrong. There aren't really any right or wrong answers after all. The way I found that leaves me sufficiently warmed up without that feeling that I may be hurting myself, beginning the workout with some sort of a dynamic movement. So if I'm about to do some squats, I'll begin with a light to medium to brisk walk. Perhaps use the cross trainer or the cycle double punch one, that one, or the rowing machine. Any of those options. 5 to 10 minutes to get warm blood into the muscles, get everything circulating, so then you can get into the bench press, get into the squats and hit some personal bests. So that's how we begin. Of course, the middle is the workout and the lifting bro itself. So how do we finish? You can just head on back home to the wife or the mistress, but if you want to feel like the gym is truly over, then a nice warm down stretch will do the trick. The ones I'm showing I have found to be the most satisfying for hitting every body part that I've had trouble with. And by no means am I flexible. I am not flexible. My squat even was not that deep. So it's useful to build this stretching habit into my gym routine so that in 6 months' time to a year's time, I will have made some significant progress. I must say, I was never able to touch my toes. I know this is kind of common, not everyone can. And I know, it's not that far a distance. Yes, I'm tiny. But it was a great moment when I finally could just reach my toes, hold them, and now we increase it. So in another 6 months' time, I'm hoping to be able to do a backflip or something. I find it's good to copy the professional athletes. They don't just jump into a 90-minute football match without any warm-up where they're running around and tackling and pushing each other around. That's a lot of strain on a body. It helps to have a little bit of a warm-up. And at the end, they don't just jump in the Lamborghini and drive back to their home. They cool down. Talk about wrestlers and professional fighters. They will have an ice bath. I don't know if it's the day after or the same day. There's the warm-up and there's the cool down. That helps with recovery and mobility.
Okay, over to the ASMR section. So we begin with a back or lateral stretch. For this one, you want to relax your shoulder and slightly round your spine. The alternative is using a pull-up bar or a pull-up hang. Nice and easy, hold yourself up. That's all it is. You can twist to the side as well, so you can get the spine stretched. My routine begins from stood up or high, then using the mat or low. So I begin with a forward fold stood up, trying to touch the ground or my feet. Next we have the inner thigh or the adductor, where your toes are pointed away from you. The deep side squat is a very good stretch for the inner thigh. Again, I don't hold this one for too long, as I've already done inner thigh adductor one just before. These stretches are held for 20 to 30 seconds. Transition over to the deep squat. This one I absolutely love. I hold this for about 30 seconds. Good for strength in the ankles, spine, pretty much the whole leg, and the main thing for me is mobility. We now take ourselves back to the ground. I begin with a butterfly pose. This is for the hips. I start with a straight back and my shoulders behind, kind of tucked and engaged. And then after 15 seconds, I reach forward as far as I can. Did I mention I can touch my toes? Here's some more evidence. I like doing it sat down too. This is optional, as you have already stretched your hamstrings from the stood up position. Sometimes I like to do the seated hamstring stretch, isolating the legs. So I'll bend my left knee inwards or bend my right knee inwards. Now we crab. When looking at our phone or reading, we tend to lean forward. So this is really nice to stick the shoulders out, stretch the back, the biceps. Make sure you tuck your chin. Fingers should point behind, and I'm building to that. If you can't fully extend out, you can do a lower version, like so. Now we have some cat-cow poses, aka look at that dumpy. Really straightforward, hands directly beneath your shoulders, knees directly beneath your hips, up and down, nice and easy. Next is just as straightforward, child's pose. This one you kind of want to relax your head. If you can, allow it to rest on the floor to relieve any tension. Again, very good for the back, and it's more relaxing. And now we move on over to the cobra. Self-explanatory, lower back. I like to shuffle on over, getting into a high plank or chaturanga, downward facing dog. Spreading your fingers as far as possible. Plant your heel, straighten that spine and keep those legs straight. I gotta say, this is amazing for the hamstrings. Boom, switch it up, pigeon pose. Back leg should be neutral. You don't have to go all the way down. You can be upright and still get a good stretch in the thigh and hip region. In the pigeon pose, you do want to tense your thighs, your butt. It really does engage the stretch. And as you can see, I tend to transition into a high plank, into the downward dog, into the cobra even. Of course, do as you wish. You can just jump into them if you'd like, but I like transitioning gradually. And similar, but an easier version is the glute or the piriformis stretch. You want to basically look like a pretzel. Right leg over the left, then bring it towards you. And then swap sides, of course. I did forget the quads and the calves. These are optional, I do these now and again. Luckily, quads and calves aren't too big a pain area, so I focus on them a bit lighter.
I stretch because it helps my overall mobility. I have flexibility as a personal area of improvement, so I know I have to do this consistently for a long period of time. But this is all personal preference. It does require you to understand which part of your body do you feel needs the most work. My needs, it's because my job involves me being sat down quite a bit, so I kind of need to stretch everything. I'm stretching my legs on days that I'm doing chest, for example.